What is up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. My name's Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear. And if it's your first time here, welcome. Please be sure to introduce yourself in the chat so that you can get the nice Camera Junkie crew welcome words. And yeah, so that I could also get to know who's hanging out in the chat. And as the tradition goes around here, the first thing that we always do is to go to check out to see exactly who are the first members of the crew who are hanging out in chat. All right, so we have Mr. Moderator Paul Duncan in the house saying what's up to the fam. We also have Gretchen here saying hi to me, myself, and to this Saturday MCJ crew. Randy's in the house saying hello to everyone. He also says, I wonder what Scott will bring for dinner tonight. I got my frappe mocha. You know, it's been a while that I haven't hit up that frappe mocha. I just actually, going to it to show you. I got coffee today because I was feeling a bit, like a bit sluggish. And I was like, you know what? A bit of caffeine seems just about right for tonight's stream. Good stuff. Good stuff. And we also have Parker Jennings saying hello to everyone. How are you doing, bro? Randy says, Gretchen, what Canon cameras do you have? By the way, hello. Also saying hello to Paul. Paul saying hello to Randy. And then we got Marine X in the house saying we're going to call you DJ Skip the Song. Yeah, you can tell I wasn't vibing on a couple of those songs. And I was like, you know what? The next one. Next one. All right. That's the one that's going to go. We just got it just as a nice music bed. And as tradition goes around here, Aiden is now asking me to do something as soon as I start the live stream. What's up, man? This? I get batteries. What's your iPad? All right. Not too bad there. All right. So that's funny. DJ skipped the song. We also have Jim Mundi in the house saying hello to all. Jeremy is in here as well saying, hey, y'all. Jim saying hi to Marine. Stephen Wixie's in the house saying hey to everyone. Gretchen is answering Randy saying I have the R5, the RP, the 5D Mark III, and a PowerShot V10. The V10, I believe, is the new flip camera, if I'm correct. It says in film, I have the EF and the Canonet. And then she has quite a plethora of vintage cameras that are more like decoration pieces than they are like actually like functioning or for work case purposes, type cameras. They can still be functioning, but not to be used as an actual like workhorse. And speaking of that, I actually have a new piece to add to my own collection. I gotta give a shout out to a good friend of mine, Buche. You know who you are. That's my boy from like long ago, childhood, and still continue to be friends. So we were just hanging out the other night and he showed me a camera that I have hanging out right over there, and I'm gonna grab it right now. An old film camera. This is a Mamiya Secor. To give you a good look of what we're talking about here. So it's a 1000 DTL, and he was asking me like how much do these cameras go for, and I gave him my honest opinion. I said I usually pick these up on the used market between like 25 to like $40, and I checked eBay and that's exactly what they were going for. So, but still, it's a nice piece film camera. And it's basically just a clone of all the similar type of rangefinder cameras, or single lens reflex cameras that you find, because this is not a rangefinder style, so I'm just correcting myself. But more importantly, it comes with a 55 millimeter f1.4, and it's a pretty decent lens. Like, I was just looking at it right off the bat, and before I even saw what brand it was, come on, focus. You know what? Product showcase mode, activate. Here we go. With all the numbers that I was getting here right on the top, it really reminded me of my Asahi Super Takumar lens. So that's what I was thinking that I'm dealing with. And it's an M42 mount. So for those of you who don't know, it's a screw-on mount. Very old school, but well maintained. So I got to give a shout out once again to Emmanuel for such an amazing gift, right? Even though I'm not going to be putting it through its paces as a film camera as of right now, everything works on it. It even has like the front, like the push action, so that you could actually like open up the aperture. It's almost like an automatic feature for it. But yep, nice piece. Nice lens. The lens I think I'm gonna be able to use a lot more. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Oh, okay. But the lens is in pretty good condition. F1.4 55 millimeter. That is 100% right up my alley as far as lenses that I love to mess around with. I just pulled out my Fuji camera, and one of the lenses that I have, where did I just put it? Aiden's asking me for snacks. I was just messing with my Fuji camera, and now I don't see that lens. Moving things around. But this one, once again, go to my overhead. This is my M42, or the screw-on adapter to my Fuji X mount. And this is the Helios M44. The Helios 44 M4. Let me get that right. It's an f2 58 millimeter lens. This is one of those Bokeh-licious old school Russian lenses. As you can see, very, very clear optics, barely any coatings on it, and that's actually what gives it its type of look. That, with the film emulations on the Fujifilm cameras, great pairings. So I can't wait to throw this new lens, the Mamiya, onto that mount, including the ones that I have for my Sony cameras, which is actually that one right there. Right now I have the Tamron, which is that information right there, my 28 millimeter f2.8, and that's what I'm rocking right here. Like old school vintage lenses that giving me that like very unique look. So I love messing around with old gear, and with the new cameras, that it gives you the ability to attach the old and make it new. It's just, you're getting the best of both worlds. So absolutely love that. But let's go back to the chat before I start talking about today's subject at hand. Yolanda sent in a super chat, $10, saying looking forward to this stream. Now, we had something going because apparently she was sending in messages that haven't been coming through on the YouTube channel. And she said that she was going to send in a super chat if it wasn't working. So even though I appreciate you and I appreciate the super chat, hopefully we are getting all of your messages come through. So I'll be making sure to look out for that. If not, we have to dig deeper on why we're having this issue with her messages. Paul is giving her the thanks, and so am I. So highly appreciate it. That I believe, Yolanda, is my first official super chat on my live stream. So once again, let's go back to it and give it a little. Let's go. Not that you guys actually have to do that, but thank you so very much for the gesture. You know, all the support is highly appreciated. And this is just one of the many ways that I've given to my community to give back and to support me. So thank you so very much. And yeah, that's a milestone in the books, episode 189. And I have my first official YouTube super chat. I'm almost blushing right now. So thank you, Yolanda. It's I didn't even think that that's how I was gonna feel, but here we are. All right, thank you. All right, so Ernesto is also here. Say polar pop today for me, LOL. So I'm guessing that's what he's drinking. It's a Circle K drink. Yep, he corrected himself right underneath there. I'm gonna have to check that out. Polar pop. Kevin's also in here saying hello to everyone. Okay, but we're getting her other messages. Let me see. We're welcome, Mr. Moderator. All right. So it seems like everything's working very well. Randy's also saying the R5C and the R62 and the R10. Yeah, but I believe her RP is also converted for infrared. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know Gretchen has one of the R mounts with infrared on it that give her such amazing shots. Some of her work with the infrared blow me away, especially like the trees turning like completely white and just all these different shades of red. It's just so dope. Ernesto says, I have a Sony A7 IV with the original ZV-10 or the ZV-E10. Yeah, we're going to start talking about the new model and how I've already placed my order for like, yeah, notify me, however it is, pre-order, because I am 100% sure I'm getting my hands on this new setup, especially because of what it provides for me. And I really want to get my hands on the new lens, because if you've been here before, you might have heard me say something in the terms of glass before ass, right? Yep, optics are more important than the camera bodies, right? So I have an A7R2 filming me right here, right over here. I have the A6100, right, which are pretty modern cameras, yet going by the description, I'm telling you that I'm using old vintage lenses because glass stands the test of time. And this one, I have my Canon Quantaray 19 to 35 millimeter right now, currently at 19 millimeters wide. It's a variable, you know, like aperture, but I use it very well. And to give you a look of what that looks like, as you can see, it's connected with an adapter to my Canon. So effectively, this adapter from Metabones converts my Sony camera into a Sony EF mount, right? EF, I think that's exactly the one that it was. And from there, I connect my old school Canon camera, which is what I'm using for this right now, to give me that old school film look right out of camera. Gotta do what you gotta do. Okay. So Scott is in the house saying hello to the crew. She's also, Gretchen, by the way, I'm saying, she also says that her husband has the R6 to the M50 and the M6. She also says that the Mamiya is beautiful. It is. It's so well maintained, and I can't wait for the day that I'll have the ability to put film in it, you know, and utilize that one. My other one that I have up here, a couple of old school film cameras that I can't wait to have that ability. Right now, I think I was speaking with Doc and a couple of other people. Shooting film is a straight flex. It is a luxury because it is so difficult to get your hands on quality film and have the process to basically, you know, like do the entire thing, not know what images were done correctly, you know, having that like anticipation going to get them developed. Once they are developed, you see what's available or what came out good, right? What's available as like something that you would share, and then the ones that you would share, now you're going back to a reverse engineering to digitize that image so that then you can post it online, when you can just take the photo with your phone and post it online. If that were to make sense, right? You're adding all of this extra procedure to it just because of the fun factor. So one day we'll get there. One day. Okay, so Randy says, just updated the firmware on the 5C to the latest firmware, and I'm regretting it already. Oh, that sucks. You know, Randy, I have not done the update on the R10, but I think it needs it. I just haven't gotten around to it. It's been a busy month last month. Okay. So Ernesto also says, my only vintage is an RCA camcorder that I use that belonged to my dad. That's cool. Especially if it's like an heirloom like that, that was like actually your father's. That's hella cool. Me, I'm just a junkie for all these cameras, and yeah, it's kind of implied in the name. All right, so Scott says, yep, Mamiya 35mm new black in the 70s were under $200 new. Started my career in high school with that. By 11th grade, I had the Mamiya 645. By my senior year, I had the RB67. Went digi in 2000. That's such a cool, like, little like summary of that experience. Thanks for sharing, Scott. That is really cool. Brandy says, I ordered the M42 mount for the MIR. Okay, so I ordered the M42 mount for the MIR 137mm. I'm not. I read it, but I'm not sure what the MIR is. It's not clicking. Waiting for customers to clear it. I should get the lens in mid-August and have 2 adapters also coming. I'm gonna have to like grab this information here, copy text, and we can do this on the fly, I think. Excuse me. And I'm basically just Googling that. Okay, so apparently it's a brand that's coming up, KMZ, and the mirror -1 37mm. This is dope. I'm not familiar with this lens. Apparently it's going between like $150 to $300 on used eBay, so on and so forth. Very interesting. Here, let me see if I can show you guys what I'm seeing here. I should be able to, right? Oh, this is eCam. There we go. Boom. So this is what I'm seeing on eBay, and this is the lens. 1B. So I guess a 2.8 37mm. Nice, old school design, and it's a M42 mount, so thread on. Ooh, that shot right there has me intrigued, because I'm seeing some like yellow coming through it, and you know, everyone gets a little antsy. I'm gonna pull out another lens right over here, which I absolutely love. This is my Nikkor, or my Nippo Gogaku, I believe is how you pronounce it, correct? A Nikar S. This is the f1.4 50 millimeter, and if you can see, it also has like the same type of like goldish elements in it. I'm not sure if that's coming through, but let me go over here. Oh, actually, see that same golden flare? That's a good way of, that's really showing it off right there. So those element coatings you can no longer find because apparently they were radioactive, and apparently they still are, but just to some points that are just such low levels that unless like you're using it all day and handling it all day every day for years on end, will it really affect you? But it's sitting on a shelf and being used sparingly, not a problem. But some people get really freaked out about it. I'm not one of them. And when I see something like this, let me go back to it. Oop. And I see that like golden glow in the lens, that gets me excited for those elements, because that means you're gonna get a very nice and distinct look. So thanks, Randy. Not familiar with this, but I will get to know a little bit more about this lens and the myriad of different lenses that could apply in this category. See what I did there? I call that a buckism. All right. So let's not get ahead of ourselves, but a little bit of house cleaning before I continue. One thing is that we are now going to give a shout out to my homie, Mr. Doc Rock. And if you haven't noticed, I got a brand new pop filter right here. This thing is absolutely next level. I'm absolutely in love. Right now, as you can see on the screen, there's a pre-sale going on. It just started this month, and I believe early September is when things are going to be start shipping out. I already ordered all my extra colors, but I was fortunate enough to have met up with Doc Rock in Atlanta just this past weekend, and he was able to hand me one personally that I get to use now before all the rest hit the streets, so to speak. And I'm really excited about it. It not only sounds great because it's made with like, you know, high quality, got the word, but it is basically like studio quality foam. It is not like what even comes from shore. Like, I don't even know if you can see like the difference, and it looks and feels like velvet. So I'm guessing that that's how I sound as well. So if you're interested in upgrading your colorway when it comes to your microphone setup, whatever color that you're looking for, right now we have red, orange, green, blue, purple, and pink available. And like I said, you can find the description down below. um Pick the ones that you want. I've ordered for this microphone and for my pod mic, so I'm also going to be messing around with the pod mic. So I got the ones for the pod mic and for the SM7B. But then he also has for the MV7 style for sure, which could be applied for a variety of different, like the SM58s, the handhelds, even like the Rode ones like this. My little handheld for Rode could also be applied to these. So if you want to support Mr. Doc Rock, I already ordered 6. I got 3 different colors for 2 different microphones. So I got those on the way and I can't wait. So I'll have 7 in total, but I'll have the colors that I want. So a little bit of information in house cleaning, but got to give a shout out to Doc Rock. And I know Mr. Moderator Paul, he's most likely going to put the same link in the description. So thank you right now ahead of time, Mr. Paul. What's up, buddy? What's up? Somebody trying to make a surprise visit into the chat. Hey, want to say hi to everybody? Huh? All right, let's see what's going on here. Aiden's putting things underneath my feet. All right, so let's go back here And then let's go back to bam. There we are. And look, that's you and me on the live stream, buddy. You need a lint roller. Yeah. You wearing black is not the best decision. Aiden. Dude, I'm gonna put you down. Lovely. And we're gonna play in about 30 minutes, okay? Give me 30 minutes. Mr. Distractifuls over there. All right, so I went off on that tangent after Randy's comment, so let's get back to it. Kevin says, I recently been gifted some vintage glass, that's cool, that was previously used with the Canon AE1. I don't have cameras yet, but have adapted those lenses to work with my Panasonic cameras. That's cool. I would just keep them as far as like just adaptable lenses, because to find that really, and the AE1 mount and system for Canon was the one prior to the EF, and that one is the one that's like strictly manual, no electronics. So those basically come out to being kind of like cinematic or cinema lenses. Just adapt them and enjoy them. They're still very good. And if you're lucky enough to have found the L series, you know, the ones with the red line on it from the AE, bro, those are just like super classics, like super classics. Those are super rare and very distinct imagery that you'll be getting from them. Sammy Superstar in the house saying hello to everyone. And Kevin does say that and says, has everyone remembered to hit that like button? Please do so. Please make sure that you hit the like button. Hit it right in the thumb there. It's highly appreciated. See, even Gretchen says the same thing. It says, ooh, Kevin, I want to see those. Yeah, so do I. And I was correct. She says that yes, her RP is full infrared conversion. She got it from KEH or one of these. Like that, it was just a steal. She tells me about that. And it's just like, oh man, that was such a good deal. And to have that in the arsenal, I need to maybe pick up an IR lens or IR sensor camera. So Kevin says, the studio's in total disarray at the moment. They're in the closet in there. We'll have to get them out when I can get them. And Gretchen also says that I have a bunch of film in the fridge and I'll bring some to camp. Oh, that's so cool. You know what? Because this is what I was also thinking. For me to utilize this camera, right? To maximize every single photo, I would cheat, right? If it's almost like if you were at school and the teacher says, hey, this is going to be an open book test where you can just use the glossary and just find all the answers, you'd be like, boom, let's go. Everyone like everyone should pass, right? But that's a conversation for a different day, right? So having that ability, what I would do is I would actually carry like another camera, like the one that I have right over there as well. My Sony NEX, something small, or maybe even like my overhead camera, like the Sony ZV-1F, something small and compact, but that still gives me manual control. Why would I carry both? Because I would actually look at and frame the image that I would want, right, in the digital camera and set all the settings to make sure that I know what exposure would be best, so on and so forth, because we would be limited to one hard fast rule, which is depending on the speed or the sensitivity of the film that you have is really going to determine how you have to set up the rest of the settings to get a properly exposed shot when you're dealing with film. So my idea is that, like, say I meet up with Gretchen and she gives me a roll of film to pop into this camera right here. Once I do so, I'll be hanging around also with my other camera and I'll be setting up all the shots so that I know what would be the best, you know, like shutter speed, what would be the best aperture and all the other aspects, and basically use the digital camera and the power that we have with them as like a digital light meter to make sure that the shot is exposed correctly. And once I have all that information, pop it into this one, make sure that all the settings are correct, and then just go bam, got you. And know that no matter what condition we're dealing with at the moment, because of the film that you have in there, you'll be able to get a correct exposure and maximize the film that you got in there. So that's what I would do. So let's see if that actually happens at Creator Camp, which, for those of you who don't know, that's something that's happening in October in Amesbury, Massachusetts. I would tell you to go check it out, but right now you could only check out a waiting list for next year's event, because this year has already been completely sold out, and I'm super excited and anxious for that event. And just a lot of things that have already happened this year, which I'm just blown away, and things to come happening later on this year. So super excited. Jeremy says, been playing with Dehancer for a product review. Really cool tool for getting that film look. Shoot digital or do you film flex? Right, this says the film look. Shoot digital or do your film flex using the post processing. Nice. Says less stressful on the wallet and has a bonus. Nice. I'm gonna probably speak to you a little bit more about that. So Randy's giving me information about that MIR lens. It says Russian lens from Ukraine, MIR-1, 37mm f2.8 gives wonderful bokeh. Exactly, and that bokeh or bokeh is what we get very well from this lens, my Helios. Oh, I forgot to put the lens cap. Attack of the Killer lens cap, but the Helios. And now let's make sure we put that correct there, so that something like that doesn't happen again. Oh, he's fighting me. There we go. Hopefully, I'm glad I didn't damage the threads. Okay, so he says that's it, because that's the one that I pulled up. There is the pre-order. Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Gretchen says that she ordered 4. That's awesome. It says you can also use the SM7B pop on the MV7. Exactly, which is also a really cool like hack, because these, as you can see, they're pretty long. So if you use them on the SM7B, that the capsule is shorter, it gives it a space, a gap for the air, which actually helps in, preventing the pull. There's an L in there. The plosives. I think I said it right, but we'll march on. Hey, Sly made it. Says, hi, Aiden. You're getting so big. Yes, he is. Getting big and heavy. He had a growth spurt this year, and it's just still the best thing, the best part of my everyday. Okay, so Randy says, I'll send you the video link to the message. Send you the link, the video link to your message with the link that turned me onto the MI. Look at this. Okay. So that's funny. Like I sent him down the rabbit hole and now he returned the favor. Gretchen says, Kevin, those lenses will also work on the EF cameras like mine. Sammy says, I'm interested in if people what they think about the 10-bit 4K on the new ZV-E10. I don't know what people are spreading the extra money. That's actually like one of the reasons why I'm like, this is almost a no-brainer for me. The other thing about this camera that I'm gonna like pull up the B&H information in a bit just so that we can go through the specs. But the one thing that stuck out to me that I was like, what? Was that it's the first Sony camera that's doing 4K 30 directly from the USB-C. And it's under $1,000. It's got the newly like revamped kit lens, the 16-50, and I'm excited because I've actually still used the kit lens for the Sony cameras on certain occasions. I recommend it for people who are starting out and don't know exactly which focal length will be best suited for their setup and what they're using. So there's a lot of use case scenarios where I would recommend the kit lens. So $800 or like $900 for the camera, and then like an extra 100 for that kit lens is to me like a no-brainer. And once again, it is the same exact 26 megapixel sensor that you're gonna find on the FX30, right? So the one that you're gonna get off the FX30, you're gonna get the same S-Log 10-bit 422 codecs. This is like a perfect, and I really do mean perfect, companion to what I already have going. So I'm gonna have the A6600, this new ZV-E10 Mark II with all the benefits, and then also have the FX30 as the main horse, and they're all going to complement each other perfectly. So if I want to go full-fledged, I go with the FX30 and the new ZV-E10 and use the 6600 for photography. If I want to tone it down, then I would just carry the E10 with the A6600 as like the second angle for camera. And if I want to go even smaller than that, then I'd be able to go with just the 6600 or any one of those cameras, and also bring in my Sony ZV-1F, which is the ZV-1 fixed lens that I use for my overhead, but that's also super light, compact, super small, very convenient for like extra supplementary or accompanying camera. I use it for B-roll all the time, believe it or not. The slow and quick, or S&Q mode, that's on the ZV-1F is actually very usable. And when you set the settings correctly in S-Log, you'll be able to get a flat profile. Like the thing about the S-Log in the 8-bit is that you really can't push and pull the colors too much. But if you're using a LUT, which I am, and you get the proper exposure, then it's actually very usable. If you try to like pull up shadows or crush the shadows in any way, then you're asking more of the codec than it is capable. But if you expose it correctly and you think about that correctly, or ahead of time, right, fix it in camera, not in post, right? Or how Raphael Ludwig says, fix it in camera, finesse it in post, right? So with that type of mentality, getting proper exposure, it's absolutely extremely and very usable. All right. Both Kodak Max and Fuji color film with ASA ranges from 200 to 400 and 800. Oh my God, Gretchen, you're the best. Well, we'll see exactly what we get ourselves into, because I already booked my Portsmouth picture and video scavenger hunt as the thing that I'm gonna get myself and Aiden into Creator Camp. So if you're listening to this, right, and you're like, what is this Creator Camp and what the scavenger hunt, video photography scavenger hunt? Well, you gotta get on that mailing list and you gotta hit us up in the Discord, right, so that you can find out what's going on with the Ecamm Creator Camp. It was so much fun last year, and this year's only going to be better. The only complaints that we had at all last year was that it was not long enough, so they added an extra day to the event. So it's only getting bigger and better, and I can't wait for this year's Creator Camp. Sammy says, I got a very nice manual focus lens. It's a 50mm f1.2 for Sony E-mount for $75. That is great. That sounds really nice. I'm interested in maybe rent one of and make a short film comparing the FX30 and the ZV-E10 Mark II. Oh, so you're thinking about renting one and making a film comparing it. That's cool. Jeremy says 4K 30 via streaming is perfect for us e-cammers, right? Like, that's exactly what I was like. What? 4K 30? And I don't have to carry an extra video capture card? freaking nuts. So the FX30 can do up to 720. No, actually the FX30 can do up to 1080 with the proper cable. And I learned that just this past weekend over there in Atlanta for the podcast summit. So I was able to connect the FX30 and I used the big high powered cable that actually comes with the Rodecaster Pro, the Rodecaster Pro 2 or the Rodecaster Duo, and using that high quality big chunky cable, I was able to get 1080 directly from the FX30. I could connect it right now to show you, but it's no need. So, but I did test that out, and you can get that going, and even that was still very impressive. But then to say that this new ZV-E10 Mark II is going full 4K out of the USB, like out of the USB-C, which is also gonna power it and give audio, I'm like, that is a powerhouse all on its own. And one of the things that surprised me of the ZV line of cameras is that 3 capsule microphone that they have on all of their series, which is actually pretty usable. Like if you didn't want to carry around a microphone, you can just carry around the ZV-E10, connect it via USB-C, and when you go into Ecamm, your microphone would be selected, would be the actual camera itself. It would pick up the 3 capsule microphone and you're in business. I did that one time when I was at my friend's house in Orlando to keep the streak alive of the Camera Junkie live stream, and it was, like I said, once again usable. I applied it to crisp so that even though it's picking up all the sounds, I was still cleaning up the audio and giving me the best chance for not like having background noise. And basically nobody complained, so we just rolled with it. And yep, that was my use case scenario. It says, show me that cable. Are you serious? All right, you know what? I'm going to show you and I'm going to do it right now. So let's get it done. I believe they're here. Here we go. I'm going with my overhead camera, moving the mic just a bit. Let's check my first little audio. And here we have it. So this is this is my USB cable bag, right? So let me just pull this guy out. And as you can see, I have multiple. So this once again is the same cable, but we're just gonna leave that one. Just to give you the whole look. So as you can see, this is the big chunky cable from Rode, which is equivalent to any of the like 240 watt cables or USB-C cables that give 40 gigabit data transfer, because that's what you need to look for. So you get the nice 240 watt 40 gigabit cables, and they're thick, they're like tough, they, you know, like they're not flimsy at all. They almost like hold their shape because they're thick and rigid. But this is the cable. Now let's go with behind the scenes cam, right? Boom. Let's see how we do this. All right. So here we have it. Open this up. Turn this on. All right. So we have another angle we're working with right here. We're just gonna access the USB-C. Connect the Rode to the front of my Mac Studio. Hit a click. It's asking me to put it into live stream mode. Okay. And now we're streaming USB. Now I'm gonna come over here and go into live demo so that you can see what I see. Let me find my mouse cursor. Okay. All sources. We're going to go to my new scene. It's not the scene that I wanted. This is the new scene. Okay, but that's not the camera that I want. Okay. FX30. So this is the FX30. This is the Sigma 16 millimeter. This is connected via USB-C cable. And as you can see right here in the camera effects window, FX30 right there, 1080, 60 frames per second via the USB-C cable. Boom. And I'm overexposed. So let's see if we just, and it's at 2.8. Ooh. So let's bring that down to 4. So you can see now, better exposure. And now we're using the FX30 via USB-C cable directly into my Mac Studio. To go back over here, actually, boom. We turned off live demo so that you can see better of what I'm saying. So cable connection, swirly right into it. And when I was actually at the podcast summit in the hotel last Saturday, I was using my MacBook Air. So cable, MacBook Air, FX30, 1080, 60. And as you can see, like it was definitely what we call GE. Definitely was good enough quality, right? The colors are off and I can mess with that. Because that's the whole thing. So look, let's, oh, gonna add some tint, some color into it, add some saturation, gamma to, yeah, give it some better contrast, little brightness. That looks a lot better. Looks a lot more than what it was before, looking very greenish. But as you can see now, and you can see this item right there. For those of you who don't know, those are called DVDs. Yeah, magical digital video discs that you can record your media. Oh, this is the camera. I'm so used to looking over here that I'm like still getting this, but yes, digital video discs. Very funny. All right, so let's go back to the main shot. There we go. What we're used to. But now we have another camera. Mr. Camera Junkie has a 5-camera setup today. But we continue. All right. All right. He says, show me the cable. I showed you the cable and then some. All right. Kevin says, I bet Doc's recommendation of the 240 60 hertz cables might work for the transfer speed required. Exactly. Those cables is the ones that I get as well. Says Kevin, right? I thought I had to, so yeah. Let's see what he says. It says, I thought so too. Have the 240 watt JS aux or whatever the brand is JS aux, like John Santino Auxiliary, right? JS aux. And it never worked direct into the Thunderbolt USB-C port of the Mac Mini M2 port. I'll buy the Rode one tonight if it works. Very interesting. I would tell you to just look up. Well, you said you tried the JS aux. That's very, very interesting. The thing is, I believe I tried it with a different cable as well. Yeah, I just happened to use this one because it was a bit longer. But the FX30 also came with a cable for itself like that. But I think it was more like 3 foot. So it just didn't give enough leniency. But it just has to be like of good enough quality. Says, I hope Rode sends me commission. Randy says 1080p 60 is good enough for live streams. Absolutely. And if you're using Ecamm and you want to still pump out in 4K, it's only gonna like upscale it just a bit. It's not really upscaling, it's just there's less compression. So it's gonna allow the file to be at like at its full size in 1080, which is gonna give you the highest quality at that part or at that point. Kevin says, I wonder what specs are on the camera. There has to be another version out there that's a braided cable. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He said cable, not camera. I kind of read typo. Not always, but most times. So this is a great shot of my background also. Which one? The FX30? He goes from the FX30, that is. You think so? We can go back to it. Let's see. Oh, well, I can see what you're saying. You're getting a lot more from this angle. You're seeing my game collection over here as well. Those are all my actual. Oh, this is the camera. Those are all of my actual media games. And if you follow anything in the media sphere, you know exactly what we all feared is actually happening now. Nintendo is the biggest culprit of like taking down digital media and then reselling it to you, you know, so that they can sell you the same exact game that you bought all over again because they changed the platform that they're hosting the game on. It's not the best. Let's just say that. But it's super cool that I still have a lot of my favorite games. And whenever I decide to play them, I can connect the console kind of like a VCR and play those games because I have them on these magical things that I had mentioned before, the DVDs. Yes, digital video discs. And you can store magical bits of ones and zeros called data. And they then convert into a game that you can play on your digital television. It's amazing what we can do with technology. Oh, that's right. I almost like didn't mention that. How do you have your overhead camera mounted? Let me show this to Sly because we were talking about this on her live stream last night. So let's go to my behind the scenes camera once again. Okay, just to show you that I have my camera right here. Let me get you a better shot. Let's see if I can actually get the shot in there. Okay, I'm gonna move this light out of the way. Okay. Well, hope actually could use the light handheld. There we go. So we can see what we're talking about. Right over here from my behind the scenes, right? As you can see my desk and everything. This is my desk, and this is the shelf that's the top part of my desk. Above it, I have my microphones hanging out up there. Some notes from the loving members of the Camera Junkie crew, like this message from Gretchen, and the message behind over there that was sent to me by the one and only Sly, who I'm helping out right now. Right, this is where I keep my stuff, and this is the top rack. You can see some microphones in the back hanging out, lights, some lenses that I've wrapped up to keep dust free. Right, that's what's hanging out up here on my top rack. Now as I scoot back over here, right, I also have a lot of things mounted. Easy to put magnets on here, also keep cables, you know, all connected. And what I have is right here, I basically have two mounts, two ball mounts. This is just a basic camera ball mount, as you can see right up here. And then I have a smaller ball mount. Let's see if I could. I have this camera on this one right now. There we go. Got it through. Okay. Put this here. Okay, that's working. Okay, so now I'm just gonna like disconnect so that you can see exactly what I have. And I basically have a ball mount on the bottom and a ball mount on top. And through the cage, because of the holes and the style that it is, I have them basically clamped to each other, and they're just being held onto the shelf. So even though this is underneath the shelf, it's kind of being held through the shelf, through the top part, and then this is being held in its place with it being centered. So it allows me to have a variety of different mounting options that are built in to my cage, and that's been my solution. All I need is a like, what's it called, an Arca Swiss style mounting plate, so I can go from my ZV-1F here, right, and just mount it directly, and now it's my overhead shot. I could also move that to the top part and bring in a completely different camera. So let's say I just wanted to record something really fast. I can then grab, this is my Fuji, and because it has that same Arca Swiss mount, I can now mount it as an overhead camera and start utilizing it just the same way. I can then take that off. Connect my A6600, put it on that same Arca Swiss mount, and now it's mounted on top. And if I want to use something like this that's a higher quality or higher connection than my ZV-1F, that's also why I have these cables already brought here, which is my power cable for the micro USB, which is what the A66 and the older Sony cameras have, plus the micro HDMI that will allow me to just easily connect this camera here, power it here. When I turn on this camera, now I have it connected via HDMI. And let me see what I can do here. Would I be able to? I can get the dongle. Ooh. I think I am totally maxing out all my IO. Oh, I'm not showing you. Sorry. Oh, that's right. It doesn't make sense to show you from here. Let's go back to the other camera. So what I'm dealing with right now is I'm actually connecting. See if I got that signal. Yep. So now I have another overhead camera, which is actually the A6600, which I'm going to go to right now. So if I were to go to my ZV-1F, which is my traditional overhead camera, right now what we're seeing is just the back end of the A6600, because it's literally on top of it, right? So this is very meta, but it's going through camera. And now I can go to this scene, which I have more control, and go from the FX30. Oh, did I lose the signal? Let's see. I think I did. Okay. I got it now just to show you. But now this is the overhead shot of the A6600. So there we go. Just step by step of different ways of connecting it and however I decide fit. But let's rotate this so that it makes more sense. And now there's rotated. I'm shooting on a flat log profile. That's why the colors look that way. I would apply a LUT, but I digress. And this is where we continue. Oh, this shot doesn't have the music. I'm over here jamming by myself. There we go. Let's add the music to this shot as well to make it less boring. All right, let's continue. But as you can see right now, I'm maxed out. This is a USB-C connected to a 1080 video capture card, which is what I have connected to the A6600. Right here, I have the Sony FX30 connected to that via USB. Right next to it, oh, I have my hard drive. Underneath it, right over here, this guy over here is what I have connected directly to the ZV-1F. Then in the back side of this computer, I have both of the capture cards, the Camlink 4Ks. Wow, what I have connected here. But hopefully, Sly, that helps you out to show you all the various different ways that I have the ability to set all of these cables up and have them connected. What I had in mind for you is actually something else. Now, in your situation, you said that you don't have the ability to like drill holes and things like that because you're renting. One of the things that we were talking about in the gold group a couple of weeks ago, in Doc Rock, shout out to him once again, if you looking for pop filters this nice, link in the description. But what he mentioned was varipoles. Now varipoles are like C stands without the base. And the way that they work is that they work off of pressure, where you basically put it against the floor and then kind of pressure it against the ceiling, almost like a shower curtain, so to speak, or a curtain maybe for like a window, where you just do it by tension and then run the curtain on itself. Well, this is going to be running vertically, and you're able to just use that instead of a C stand and then have things attached to it just the same way. Now, the idea that we also had using the varipole was that there's also less expensive options available out there for the people who do construction work or sheetrock, right? Sheetrock work, which you would know what I'm talking about. So that they actually have these same type of varipoles that are designed to keep the sheetrock up while you're drilling it, and that kind of works in the same purpose but is half the price. So where two varipoles will cost you $200, one of these like sheetrock poles by itself will cost you $50. So it's a substantial savings if you look at it that way. And the way that we were thinking was to also put them up on the ceiling, right, so that you could basically run them kind of like a shower curtain, right, where you put one of these varipoles and you run it across the area that you want to hang or put different things to. And also, like, that's what I was thinking, that I was gonna get one to run across where I could hang lights, and also maybe hang like the moving blankets to kind of deaden the sound and make it, you know, a better sound stage for what we do here. So those are the things that I was thinking. I have a pretty cool relationship with my landlord, so I don't have a problem with like drilling holes, because he knows that I need it because of Aiden, and also that I fix all the holes that I would drill, so it's not too much of an issue. But what I was thinking was to get galvanized pipes and how you can build structures with it. I'm thinking about just bringing maybe a foot down of galvanized pipe from the ceiling, running 6 feet across, and then right back up, and having that to be like a place where I can mount more lights, and also like kind of roll over this moving blanket and have it suspended from the ceiling, thus eliminating the need for another stand on the floor, because that's the biggest thing. The coolest thing that I've gotten right now, and to show you guys once again behind the scenes, boop, going back to this camera, let's see if I can show you, is my light up here. And the fact that it's on a stand, or on a like a moving hanging stand, so that I can take my light and move it to my heart's content. As you can see, where I have the cable connected through the back, and I'm able to raise this up, and it's connected on the wall. So I'm happy to say that this worked out so well that I picked up another one, and now my hair light is also on the same stand. So I'm able to bring this a lot closer than I've had before. Over here, which has really helped a lot with the way that you set up the lights. So going back to it, I'm able to bring this, as you can see, right here. You can see the little corner right there, but I just had it just off there so that you can't see it, which is bringing the most amount of light, cutting me out of the background, giving me this hair light slash, rim light, shoulder light. And it's very subtle, but it really does make a lot of difference. And I'm like super ecstatic with the way that my light setup has gone. Everything is up off the ground. As you can see, I'm moving cameras and everything around. I'm just having a whole lot of fun with what I'm able to do, but I've been finalizing it. And for those of you who didn't notice or maybe weren't here last week when I was talking about it, the last piece is that I switched over from the Rodecaster Pro to the Rodecaster Duo, which, believe it or not, is why I even have enough space to prop this FX30 here, because of if I was still using the Rodecaster Pro 2, all of this space would have been consumed by it, and that wouldn't have been possible. So something just that simple, hey, it makes all the difference. All right, so man, I'm very fortunate, I have to say. I have quite an arsenal of cameras. Like, I'm just looking at the shot, I'm like A6600, A7R2, FX30. You know what I'm saying? Not even pointing out the Fuji cameras in the background and everything. I'm like, I'm very blessed, and I'm very thankful that I get to do something that I love and hang out with such amazing people every week while we just nerd out on camera gear. Absolutely love it. So hopefully that gave you a good illustration of how I have my setup mounted. Paul says, all you need is a slider and we will start calling you Keith. Hey, it might be on the way, Paul. It might be on the way. Because I do like, what was it? The one that Tom uses. The Shark Nano, I think it's called. That it just keeps you centered. It just rocks from side to side. It's so subtle, yet it's so good. If I go Keith, I'm gonna go, balls to the wall, and I'm gonna get that. What is the one that he uses? I forget the brand, but is the jig. Cause the upwards and down motion, right, and so smooth, that jig work, man, is something else. And it's strictly for me. It will strictly be just like nerding out, like, oh, that is so fun that you can do that. But I think me with a jig, I would start doing B-roll like iPhone though, and that could be a problem because I would just be dedicated to that. Marine X has a question. It says, me and the wife will get this video podcast going soon. Why shot FX30, 2 FX30s for tight shots? What do I run for tight shots? Sony 16 to 55, 35, APS-C, 55 millimeter, or the 35 GM? Let me make sure that I'm getting this information correct. You said the Y shot is on the FX3 and 2 FX30s to accompany for the tight shot. So the FX30 is already going to have a little bit more pull, or like more zoomed in, just because of the APS-C. But if you're at 16 millimeter, that's still a 24 millimeter shot. So that would be plenty wide, even if it was your main. Now, the 35 millimeter G Master, if you have a G Master 35 millimeter, I would use that for my 2 wide setup on the FX3, right? With a little distance, that's going to give you a good enough shot that you can use for the 2 up. Then the FX30s, if I'm reading this correctly, I would tell you once again, the 16 to 55 millimeter kit lens, I'm not sure exactly how you're setting them up, but I would use those to figure out what is the best framing, right? I don't know. I know it's not going to be 16, but it could be anywhere from 35 to 50 or 55 millimeters easily, right? And when it comes to APS-C lenses, if you're trying to figure out how the mathematics works, let me try to give you the best explanation, or maybe the easiest way for you to get your APS-C crop sensor factor like memorized just by simply looking at a lens. So I'm gonna grab a pencil, and I know I'm 15 minutes past the hour, but we're gonna do this. Let me see. I need something to write on. Okay, here we go. Once again, we're gonna go to our overhead shot. Actually, we need to switch it because I have the ZV-1 as my overhead shot. That's the one that's working. Let's disconnect this. Let's not worry about that. Let's move cables once again. So here. Looking good somewhat. Okay, also let's disconnect the FX30 because the cable is in the way. Shut that off. Okay, looking good. All right, let's go back. Now my buttons work again. Hooray! All right. Crop factor, multiplication, or math. Ooh, we're so blown out. Let's bring it down a couple levels. There we go. So we can see the lines on the paper. Maybe see what I'm writing. Okay. I'm gonna move this to make some more space. Okay. Crop factor, multiplication, and I'm gonna try to make this as simple as possible. I might be able to clip this. Okay. Whenever you want to figure out how to multiply your crop factor multiplication on Sony cameras, the first thing you're going to need to do is look at the focal length that's on the lens. Now, this case, we have 12. What you're going to do is you're going to take that number. So the value is going to be R in this case, right? And in this case is 12. And you're going to take R and you're going to divide that by 2, right? Once you divide R by 2, it is going to give you the number of 6 in this case. 12 divided by 6, divided by 2 is 6. Now you're going to take that value, right? And you're going to add that to R. So you're going to divide R by 2, and then you're going to add it to R. So if R is 12 in this case, divided by 2, we're going to get 6. Add that to R, the 12. 18. This is an 18 millimeter lens. Okay, it's telling me that there was a problem with ISO recording, but we continue. And that's how you get all of the focal lengths on all of the lenses. So for example, let's say that you have a zoom lens that goes from 24 millimeters to 240, which is one that I have in my bag, Sony. But I put it on my APS-C camera. What I need to do is apply the same mathematics. I'm going to take 24, which is R, divide that number by 2, which is 12, and add that to the same R number, which is adding it to 24, giving me 36. That's the minimum. And if you would apply the same mathematics, 240, right? Cut that in half. You'd be getting 120, which is basically just like the 12. So just add the 120 to the 240 is going to get you a 360. So now this 24 to 4, let me correct myself. The 24 to 240 millimeter lens effectively becomes a 36 to 360 millimeter lens on an APS-C camera. And that is Sony APS-C math in one shot. So that's how you multiply all of your crop factors, and that's how you would determine which lenses you're going to use. So I would put the kit lens to figure out exactly which zoom capability sits best for the FX30s on the sides. And once you find that, then I would invest on a prime lens in that focal length. You probably be good with the Sigmas. They have the 16 millimeter, the 30 millimeter, and the 55 millimeter, and they're very good when it comes to low light. So adding those to your FX30 setups, whichever zoom or focal length would be best for you, I would say double up on those lenses so that you can get the same focal length for your cross shot, and then use the FX3 with either a 35 or maybe even a 24 millimeter, depending on how wide it is that you need it. And right there you have your entire setup with the FX3 and 2 FX30s for the podcast. I'm gonna do something that I never do, which is I'm gonna hit M, and I added a marker to see if maybe I clip that out with one of these AI programs. But we're 20 minutes past, and this has been so much fun, and I haven't even really gotten into the specs of the ZV-E10 Mark II. Okay. Oh, Randy says, when I visited me, because he was able to visit me here in Miami. He says, my place is very well organized. Well, thank you. I have to be. Thank you. I'm not sure which part, but I take it. Says the over the desk shelf mount comes in handy when it comes to mounting gear. I'm really trying to figure out a way to attach a shelf, a pegboard, and the back of my desk mounting organization options. Yeah, options are always good because you never know like what you might want to deal with or how you want to adjust it. Says just an FYI, the FX30 scene is almost missing music. If you bank. Thank you, Kevin. As you can see, by the time I noticed it, I didn't even get to this message. So thanks for the heads up, though. That entire scene, no matter which camera I switched to, was missing the music. Paul says he uses Varipoles. So you see, it's definitely an option. Yes, that's exactly what they are. Kevin saying cabinet jack stands work are super budget friendly as well. I believe that's exactly what they're categorized when I was looking at them on Amazon. So just make sure with hanging stuff from the ceiling that the friction bars can support the weight. Gravity never stops. Exactly. And things go boom and break if they go loose over time. Yeah, that's the whole thing. I know that I'd be using anchors, like drywall anchors with the extra extension to make sure that like they won't like come down. But like I said, that's just me. Right now, these for the light stands, they've been working phenomenal. And also it allows me now to like really push them up and out of the way when I'm not using them. And before, they kind of always stayed lingering in the spots because I really couldn't push them or move them out of the way. And I can't tell you how many times I just would bang it with my head looking for something else or as I'm moving around. So having them up and out of the way now is like super cool. I'm really excited. Also, it allows me to use the lights in different areas. So with one of these quick connect mounts, the Ulanzi cloth or Ulanzi cloth, right? These setups right here with the quick disconnect, I have one up there on the light so that it allows me to like switch the position of the actual light, so I'm able to illuminate different areas and different things like that throughout the whole like place. So it just is working out very well. And the fact that it's also like remote controlled lighting, so I can just set it up and then when I'm ready to go to sleep, all lights out, good stuff. Kevin says drop ceiling grind is another great choice for ceiling mounting cameras. Yes, and there's a lot of options for the mounting. Like there's a lot of things that like completely drillless. You can even get like C-stand type ends or spigots that actually clip onto the lines of that hold up the drop ceiling, like the in between or the grid, and just clips onto the corners. They reinforce the grid itself, but also give you the spot to hang things on. Yes, Kevin, thank you. I was running a brain fart on that. The Edelkrone jib is something else. And yeah, that's the one that Keith uses. Is freaking phenomenal. Professor Camera Junkie's lens math class. Well, thank you. I had to say that correctly because I could have said meth lens class and that would have been a completely different type of education. So but we did it, guys. We made it. Let's go here. We mentioned Doc Rock's pop filters, which is what we're using here. I'm probably gonna get into the differences in the sound, right? To actually do it because wow, do they also sound great? This is like acoustic foam. That was the word that I was trying to get out earlier. But they look great. They sound incredible. I'm like these are gonna take over the market. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Like from what we've already seen and the people who have used colorway, I'm really excited for Doc Rock. I'm excited for everything that's coming his way with these pop filters. I think it's just a perfect niche, especially with his DJ background, so on and so forth. I absolutely love it. I told him, be warned, people will be petting their microphones. They feel so good. And I joke around like, good, that's nice. Is that velvet? Those of you who know. And that's a joke from Coming to America, the original. But yes, they look great, they sound great, they feel great, and I highly recommend that. But we also have another section that we do here. Here we go. Boom. We're going to do that. And then we're going to hit this button right here, which is City's Got channels that I think you should go and watch. And this week's City's Got, let's get to it. Boom, boom, is none other than Miss Mary Lou Mandel. Now, if you're not familiar with her, let me be the one to introduce you to this amazing creator. She's part of the Ecamm fam. She's someone that I've met in creator camp. She's someone that communicate with online. She's an amazing like TikToker. She's basically like the affiliate queen for Ecamm because she represents that company so well, and I'm lucky to call her a friend. On top of that, she's an amazing creator that is going to give you a lot of great advice. And she's also starting a new podcast with said Doc Rock called Creators Unstuck. And they've been doing a weekly series on Doc Rock's channel where they're building it in front of you and showing you the step by steps of how to create a podcast, but also give you the advice, no matter what type of creator that you are, to help you get unstuck. Like we were mentioning today, to get you out of your creative quicksand, so to speak, and help you get on your way in this creative journey. So this week's City's Got channels that I think you should go and watch is none other than Mary Lou Mandel. Oh, that was a good video where she was actually at the NAB and speaking with the representatives. She made a lot of great contacts, but she's just a character and also has an amazing story. But I'll leave that for her to tell you. And if you want to find out more, make sure that you follow her on her channel, Miss Mary Lou Mandel. This week's City's Got channels that I think you should go and watch. Damn, and that sounded good. It almost sounded like I've done that before, right? But I digress. All right, so there we have it, and we've done it. We have not, we really didn't get into the Sony ZV-E10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into it real quick. Just gonna skim it just to make sure that I said that I did what I did. And we're getting exaggerated because I got UFC to watch and food to eat and Aiden's to take care of. So, but we're gonna do it. Okay, so B&H. And it's the first thing that pops up. Boom. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen once again. Let's see here. Bam. There we go. Okay. So this is this new ZV-E10 Mark II. Now, another good thing, we're moving away from the NPF50 batteries. So this does not have the little wimpy batteries. It doesn't have the old school APS-C. It has a full-fledged Sony Z line of batteries, And even though I was a big advocate to use what you got and upgrade your skills before your gear, I did that. But once I did upgrade to this gear, the Z batteries, man, they make a difference. On this, the A6600 almost runs basically all day with one battery. It is freaking amazing. So I'm hoping that this being the ZV line and being the ability or the set where it doesn't have a viewfinder, it doesn't have other things that tend to pull more juice, can actually utilize the Z line battery and make it next level as far as like battery life goes. But uh if you know me, you know that I prefer the flip up screen. Not that I have like, not that I won't use a flip out screen. My 1F over here has it, my FX30 has it, but I prefer the flip up screen like the A6600 and the A6000 series. But I think I'm gonna die alone on this hill. I hope one day that Sony sees the errors in their ways and brings back the flip up screen, because now they have a new amazing microphone that you don't even need a top mount. Just throwing it out there. But we have the flip out screen, we have the bigger battery, bigger body, and this is the lens that's actually the one that interests me. This the 16 to 50. Oh, it's not 55, but still it's an OSS, which means it's optically stabilized, meaning if the camera, even an older one, doesn't have IBIS or in-body image stabilization, then you'll have a good stabilized image because it's in the lens. It's got a wide and tilt zoom rocker, also has the on and off switch right on the handle. I'm gonna be honest with you, the FX30 is great, but there's some convenience to having the A6600. Where did I put it? Oh, it's right in front of me. But having the switch right here, and I guess is mostly me with Aiden, but being able to click the switch right here with one hand and then press record real fast is pretty convenient. The FX30, amazing camera, but having to use two hands always to turn it on is probably, I say, the only thing that I would say is a negative, which is not really a negative, but just, I guess, first world problem. But we can take a look at all of the photos here from all the dimensions, but we're going to check the specs. So specs right here, 26 megapixels, 10-bit, 422, 420. Ooh, you know what? Let's take a look at the overview, because I didn't check, but let's check real quick. What type of HDMI? Is it full size? Oh, there it was. Skip the picture. Let's go back. No. Okay, so I was getting ahead of myself. It did say full size. It said HDMI, but I digress. Okay. Articulating screen. Stills. Electronic shutter. Okay, it doesn't have a you know, like a physical shutter. It just has the electronic shutter, but is mostly based as a video centric camera. Okay, still image capture is still giving us up to 14-bit, so that's very good. We obviously know we're going up to 10-bit in video. External recording modes through HDMI. IP streaming or RTMPS or RST or SRT streaming, basically streaming through USB-C. And here we have it, 3840 by 2160 at 25 and 30p, meaning we can get it to 25, which is the other side of the world, so to speak, but basically the PAL settings versus the NTSC, and we can do 24 or 30 frames per second straight out of the camera in a small lightweight camera. What? It's got 24-bit channel recording? That's an added bonus. Okay, I'm just running through these. It says it has a digital mount, so it's not like the 1F or the really low end or entry level. So it does have a connection, meaning if you have the DJI microphones, you probably be able to connect the adapter to it and get the audio directly to it, which is another reason why we should have flip up screens. But anyway, but yeah, that looks like it. Better battery. Of course, it's gonna have all the new software features. So it's gonna have like the focus magnifiers and like the focus. Forgot what it's called. The one with the colors. Like it's gonna have all the focus modes. It's gonna have the the lens compensation, the breathing compensation. I'm really, as you can see, I'm running on empty when it comes to my own fuel, but that's it. Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. If you haven't, if you're like me and you haven't gotten the Mark One, if you have the Mark One, I don't really see the reason or the need to go to the Mark II. Someone like me who doesn't have either, I'm gonna pull the trigger on this setup included, and I really want to mess around with that 16 to 50 millimeter lens. So I think that's gonna be a great price, and it looks like this is gonna be my next camera and my next camera investment. But guys, thank you as always for taking the time and hanging out here with me. Let me go ahead and check in with you guys. Okay, Paul had to run. Kevin's saying the Z battery catches his eyes. Yep, everybody's saying goodnight because I am a little bit past the hour. But as always, guys, I thank you all for taking the time and hanging out here with me. We did it. This was episode 189. Yes, and you heard correctly. That is 189 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live stream without skipping a beat. So I have to thank every single one of you for making this the place where I want to hang out and spend all of my time nerding out on camera stuff like we do for over 3 years now, and we're really creeping up on year number 4 being completed and under the books. So as always, take care of yourselves and each other, and I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces right here when we do it all over again next week, same time, same place. So take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you next time. Talk to you. And this is where I leave.